I'm sure there's someone out there watching or listening who's in your shoes. What's your greatest fear with all this? What's the size of the store?
So it's not your typical size. You'll find laundromats are 1,500 square feet. This is actually half that. It's gonna be based on efficiency.
The simpler we make it, the better it is.
Luxury doesn't always mean shiny. It could be super convenient. Come into a place where it smells great, but also just, let's get this out of the way.
Because it's a chore. What are you most optimistic about when it comes to the laundry business? When you lift up the gate, people were walking by and looking, and you and I standing there. And when I look through the glass, I see one thing, you see something. And I'm willing to bet when people were walking by, they just saw the old fish and chip sign. They just see like some debris inside, there's some work going on. But when you look at it, even though it's in the state, what do you see when you look through that window? So Anthony, why Laundromat?
You know, a buddy of mine brought it up to me and I had to give it a good thought. And learning a little bit about laundromats, I realized the model is flexible and it can be automated. And if not, there's a lot of different revenue arms to laundromats. So I thought it'd be a great thing to start. I had the facility for it. And so I said, yeah, let me hit the ground running and learn a little bit more about it. And let's see how it works out. So in learning about it, it seems like it's something that would fit me. And I could definitely add those revenue arms like I was mentioning, where it could be wash and fold, self-service, drop-offs. So a lot of different things. And then that's what I wanted to get myself into.
Got it. So all those make total sense. And I can see how those attracted you and having a conversation with your friend about it. So earlier today, we visited your location, and your story is, I don't want to say totally unique, but it's somewhat unique. It's different from what we typically see out here on social or some of the channels about people getting into the laundromat industry. So you took the approach that some people take, and unfortunately some people can't take depending on the area that they're in. So you were able to acquire the real estate, and laundromat came in as a second piece when you first got it. So you were telling me what your goals were at first for the storefront, because it's a mixed-use building. So, what was that goal, and then what made you switch?
I thought about so many things. I thought about like Amazon, drop shipping. I get the package sent here, package them up, sent to Amazon. And then going through that process, it was a bit of a headache. So it said, let me go ahead and rethink again and start brainstorming. Then I thought about like maybe a multi-service kind of business, but then I'm like, all right, the demographics doesn't really fit that. But so when I landed on laundromats, I was like, yeah, the demographics is perfect. The business is flexible. It could be automated, or you could have someone work in it, and it's an essential business. So or the thing about laundromats, it's always like, oh, they had 95, 96% success rate. And I'm like, I need that on my first,
I don't know if I would believe that.
Well, yeah, if I'm in that 4%, then, I'll sell it, Right. So there's always an exit strategy. So had that in mind. And I learned along the way that being that the commercial space used to be a restaurant, it was able to, really retrofit into a laundromat. At the gas lines, the water lines already there. So it's like, this is perfect. And all I have to do is get it renovated.
Right. Okay. So your location, you got the real estate first. You had other business in mind, Amazon, like a UPS drop ship store, et cetera, et cetera. When you decide to make the change into the laundromat, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
What made you want to get that particular building in that location?
It was definitely having the commercial unit, right?
Right.
Being a business-oriented kind of person. I mean, I think I have one of those typical stories, selling candy in high school. Yeah, that's me. So like, all right, we have a business storefront. Yeah, I'm going to get this property.
Right.
And it was funny because that property was going through a lot of negotiations, and I was being a little forward, which I could be sometimes. I said to the agent, "Hey, if that deal doesn't go through, you have my number."
Right.
And the deal didn't go through. Negotiated a great price for myself. Got in, and I said, "You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna make a business out of this. I don't know what yet, but I have the real estate."
Got it. So one commercial unit on the ground floor, and then how many residential units above?
2.
2 units. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the breakdown of those units? Like 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms?
Three ones.
Okay. So you got 3 1 bedrooms.
Three bedroom, 1 bath on each unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So you got 2 3 bedroom units. So you got some income. You'll have income coming in on all 3 levels. And if we think about it, and you're studying real estate, you were telling me earlier.
Yeah.
So I see this sometime, and you tell me your thoughts on it, or where you plan to go with it. I see people, they own the building, they put their store in it, so they have like a residential above, so they get the rental income, and then they put the store, but they don't have the store pay them rent.
Yeah, and I think that's a big mistake.
Okay.
Because interestingly enough, this property underwrote like a commercial property. So they looked at it based on the income that it could generate.
Okay.
And provided the appraisal that the value is X. So putting the rent on the books for me
Right.
is a win-win.
Got it.
Right? And if I could put someone else in there, right, their rent would be X. And so, I just looked at it like whether or not I'm making profit from the business per se, like exceeding like the rent amount, I'm still winning because I'm getting the rent.
Right. The business has to pay let's just put it in simpler terms. The Laundromat Corporation has to pay the real estate, the business, the asset, the property corporation rent.
Yes.
Because they're both independent businesses. Even though you own them both, they still operate totally separate, and you still have to treat it that way. As like you said, if you were renting it to me, you'd be like, Waleed, where's my rent every month? Like I bring that up because I see that happen sometime. And listen, no hashtag no judgment. We're not judging anybody. People run their businesses the way they want. But when we're talking about running it on the books, and we're talking about following the proper protocols just for reporting wise and keeping your books clean, you want to have one entity paying the other.
Right. And it's very important to, allow the businesses to stand on their own. And, there's opportunities that come with that as well, right? So if I decided to sell the laundry business, right, I have good paperwork that says, hey, yeah, it pays this rent, and the buyer could expect to be paying the same amount of rent or a little bit more,
Right.
and realizing if there's profit left there. So it could be an easy sell, less headache for me, and just, the expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If you were
Yeah.
selling the property, then you can show that the rental income is steady. It's not just some person there who owns both and kind of being finagling the paperwork.
Exactly. And,
Right.
or when I go to the banker again and say, hey, I want to open laundromat number 2. This is what I've been doing. I'm experienced, and all the expenses are typical.
Right. So the math checks out when you're going through that.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things, I don't want to say, what's your thoughts on it, but I've encountered it. I'm sure you've heard it and seen it. In the SMB world, small, mid-sized business, people kind of play with the books. So then when you try to go and get capital to grow, expand your business, you want to acquire another property, you want to acquire a laundromat, the banks look at you and say, well, you're undercapitalized, or you're not bankable. Like, I can't give you this loan because you didn't track your money the right way. You didn't have the account set up the right way. You don't have enough to show them to say that you have the financial power to take on a $500,000 loan so you can acquire something. It becomes, sometimes we become our own worst enemy by not doing those things.
Right. Yeah. Cheddar Bob, shoot yourself in the leg with that one. So you really have to just, dedicate yourself to following the rules.
Right.
And I think, once you do that, you could end up with a much better opportunity than shortchanging yourself in the front end.
Awesome. So will this be your first business?
This would be my second, right?
Okay.
So I had the real estate business.
Got it.
I'm a consultant in that format for others and myself, and owning some real estate. So this is the second business, and I think when I thought about it, I thought about, yes, the flexibility and the automation part. That was a lot of things I saw on YouTube University. Was like, you know what? There's a lot of things you can automate with laundromats nowadays.
Right.
You know, you don't have to be there consistently, and it's not passive like you like to say.
I was just about to ask you, is it going to be passive?
No, but it's definitely, you know, a thing where I would want to automate. And I mentioned, you know, to you prior that it's also an opportunity to collab with someone who has a wash and fold business but doesn't have a location, right? So it'll be a good thing to, you know, negotiate or come to an agreement and say, hey, if you guys clean the facility, we could work with this kind of percentage, and you know, develop a good relationship where people are making money for themselves, and also you know, I don't have to be at the facility all the time.
Got it.
Right.
And it's a lot of opportunity. I see more and more people who are doing, you know, pick up and delivery, and they basically like a ghost kitchen with the restaurants.
Yeah.
They look for a facility to operate out of. I see more and more conversations in the forums, in the Facebook groups, and they're like, anybody know of a laundromat? So I could easily see that turning into additional revenue for you. Yeah. So talking about the store, we walked through it earlier. I've seen it twice already. I'm super excited for what you have planned for it and what you're going to do with it. So let's give the audience a little bit of background, like how big, what's the size of the store?
So it's not your typical size. You'll do your research, and you'll find laundromats are 1,500 square feet. This is actually half that, if that much, right?
Right.
So it's going to be based on efficiency, from the size to the type of machines we have, and just getting people in and out. And I think that's what people are looking for nowadays. When you sell products or you sell goods and services, it's convenience, a level of convenience around your clientele. So we're looking about 720 to 750 square feet. And, you know, one bathroom. We're not going to have ATM, snack machine, you know, a kiddie place. Like you said, it's going to be direct and coming in for what you need.
Right.
And yeah, I hope people love it. Yeah.
Listen, 700 square feet, I can relate. The soap box is like right around the same size. Like we don't have washers and dryers in there. We're just doing, you know, the drop off, pick up and delivery, but I can totally relate to the square footage piece of it. And will you be attended or unattended?
I'm starting out unattended.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you think that's going to be received by the community? Because I know you mentioned some of the stores, the other laundromats that are in the area. We drove past one on the way to come meet you, and one of them was attended. What do you think the reception of the community is going to be when they walk in and it's no one there to be like, hey, let me help you, or et cetera, et cetera?
I think some people will be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the measures that I'm going to be putting in place are, you know, making it well lit, cameras, and I think that's going to help to provide the safety perspective for customers. And I think the machines are very intuitive. You know, the new machines have a screen on it. Comes in it can speak to you in multiple languages. So I think people it's not going to be much of an issue as I first thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the size too. If it was a 2,000, 3,000 square foot place, it's a little different, because then it's so many people coming in and out. This is like, people are going to wash their clothes, or my idea is that they're going to come in and wash their clothes, turn around and put their clothes in the dryer, and you know, go to the tables, fold their clothes and head out.
Got it. It's going to be a learning process for you as well as the clients.
Yeah.
But listen, there's two factions. You know, we talked about it earlier. There's a faction of people in our industry that are like, your store should always be attended, and then there's another group that's like, store can be unattended. I'm not spending the money to have someone there. And then there's that middle of people group that has a partially attended store. And I know people who are successful in all three models. I don't believe there's any wrong or right answer. You have to look at what's going to be best for the business model that you want to build, and the level of service you want your clients to have, or the community, depending on what their expectations are. And just, so we're human beings. A lot of what we do is based on what we get exposed to. So they come in there and you set it up, and I'm going to, for a lack of better terms, train them. They're going to be like, yeah, I don't really need someone here. Like the machines, like you said, they're touchscreen, they're self-explanatory. So you mentioned machines, so I'm totally going to go there. Since the store is not done yet, what brand or what type of machines are you thinking about getting?
Man, now you want me to advertise for someone?
You don't have to. Well, all right. Well, maybe we won't then. But have you decided on one brand yet? I'll say that.
I have a brand in mind.
Okay.
I have a brand in mind. And I don't want to say a name because then they're going to jack up the prices even more,
Also, if you haven't signed anything yet, we'll have to edit that out, beat that out. Great. So based on the square footage, how many washers and dryers are you projecting you're going to put in the store?
I think we're going to do 9 to 12 washers.
Okay.
40 pounders, straight 40 pounders, right? And I just want to put that out there because that's like the model. Mm-hmm. It's going to be efficient that way, where it's like, I don't want to confuse you and say, hey, that machine is too small, so you're going to waste your time there and you're going to have to get another machine. No, your whole load can come in and you could put it in the 40 pounder. Go ahead and wash your clothes and put it in the dryer when you're done. Right. There would probably be 1 or 2 more washers that are larger for maybe blankets, or there's a fire station right around the corner. So depending if they want to come and utilize this place for their uniforms. Also, the dryers would be about 8 doubles. The stack
dryers, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you have 16 altogether.
Yeah. So that's the number where I'm at right now, and I think the space will be able to hold that comfortably. Mm-hmm. And still feel like that's a lot of space with tables and everything for people to, not feel too tightly knit into the place. So yeah.
Okay. So all 40-pound washers and maybe like 2 larger ones for comforters, blankets, things of that nature. Typically we see, especially here in the city, so everybody knows we're in New York. Real estate is different here. The layout is different. So a lot of stores are like around the 1,500 to 2,000 square feet here, mostly bowling alley style, washers on one side, dryers on the other. Like we're not fortunate like some of the people in the Midwest states or the Midwest, or on the further out, even in like the rural suburb, or where they just got 5,000, 4,000 square foot stores. It's different for us here. It's, we're vertical. They're all horizontal. So I see a lot of stores here. They have like 3 and 4 size machines, especially in the city. The 20 pounders, they're like, yeah, Waleed, the 20 pounders get people to come in because of the smaller machines. But then I hear people say, I put my big machines in the front because the bigger machines draw people in and then they use the other. Well, you're going with just basically one size machine, a 40 pound. What's your, I don't want to say what's your rationale thought pattern is, but how do you think that's going to be received by the consumer? Because I heard you say earlier, like less confusion. They don't have to figure out like too much for this machine or not enough for this machine, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how do you feel that's going to go over that just one size machine?
I think it's going to work well because, like you said, a lot of people, entrepreneurs, laundromat owners, they put the big machines in the front, mm-hmm. first of all, right? So to come in and say, you have something a little bigger than what you're going to start out with most times, and it's going to be able to fit all the colored clothes and just put it in that machine. And I think it's going to be, the reception is going to be taken well to that model. I think so.
Yeah. I'm super interested to see how it turns out. So I'm going to be like texting you and bugging you to be like, once you get open, like what's the reception? Because my gut says to me, the simplicity of it will make a good portion of the people is like, they don't have to go in there, like you said, and decide, do I put it in here or do it? They walk in the door and know, like, it's this machine, I put this much in it, I put this much, start it and go. Like reducing, there's something to be said about the simpler we make it, the better it is. Like we're not confusing. Here's my best analogy where it drives me crazy. Like you ever eat at a diner or like Cheesecake Factory?
Exactly.
Their menu is like this thick. I sit down at the table and I'm like, what do I choose? And I end up getting the same thing every time because I get overwhelmed with choices. Yeah.
Exactly. And I gotta just tell you, I stole that from you, right? And it made me think about other businesses. And one person that stood out was Steve Jobs, right? How many decisions do you think he has to make per day, or complex decisions, right?
Right.
A lot. He used to have to, yeah. So he used to make these huge complex decisions, but he would wear the same outfit every day. So if I can make this convenient and straightforward, and less stressful, it's a chore at the end of the day. Like, let's simplify it for them. And that was one of the things I thought about. How do we approach business? How are we going to make this? Luxury doesn't always mean shiny and expensive. It could be super convenient.
Right.
And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to this clientele, this community. I went to the laundromats in the neighborhood, and it's like a flea market, right? Who wants to be in a flea market every weekend? No one. And come into a place where it smells great. So I wanted to be, the atmosphere to be someplace, oh, it smells so good in here.
Right.
But also just, let's get this out the way. Let's get this out the way.
Because it's a chore.
Yeah.
Right.
Put all the clothes in this machine. And we just, like I said, dry it, we fold it, and we can go home and get the rest of the day started. It's enough of machines in there for me, you, and my cousin to come, and we just knock it out at one time.
That's right.
Even my tenants, they take large, laundry bags down, that's 6-7 blocks. And that's the thing, in a New York City block, it's we don't want to go too far, right?
Probably the average person, we were talking about it before, probably, I don't know, I'm going to estimate from when we were doing self-service, people walk maybe 5-6 blocks, tops. Like, we don't have the luxury of people loading up their cars and then drive because we don't have parking and all that in front of our stores. But people do drive to the laundromat.
Yeah.
It's just a different method versus in different areas where they can just pull up in a parking lot and then unload the car.
It hit me when I saw a mom, carrying the laundry on her head. And I said, okay, yeah, she doesn't want to do this ever again. So
that's interesting. It's there's a lot of opportunity, right? And that leads me into what I was thinking earlier. What are you most optimistic about when it comes to the laundry business?
I'm very optimistic about what we're going to transform into. I think the world is transforming at a much faster rate than we've probably ever seen before. I know we went through the Industrial Revolution, then we had the internet, now we have AI.
Yeah.
Something that's going to talk back to you, you're going to be able to converse with. So how are we going to be using AI in laundry? How are we going to be using data in laundry? Is this really going to be focused on washing clothes in the future? Or are we going to be able to supplement some of our income by, using data to provide, other retailers and people with information?
Right.
So
you bring up a good point with data. And I've mentioned it before to a couple other proponents in our industry to talk about it. In the garment care industry, just on the laundry side, we won't even talk about dry cleaning. The amount of data we could be collecting, like, we don't even get a fraction of it compared to what other industries are doing when they get data on their consumers and how they understand them. I'm like, think about it. Like, we're touching, we have possession of some of the most personal items a person has. Like, people send me their underwears. Like, like, come on. Like, it gets no more personal than that. Like, I can figure out a lot. Like, I'm like, all right, so-and-so's got 30 pair of underwears. Like, I know when you got to do laundry.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing, like with linens and towels. If you know that, you can kind of figure out people's habits.
What they like to wear, somebody's favorite colors. You could find out, essentially what they're doing with their time. Because if we're taking an opportunity to do something like wash and fold, right? what are people doing in their spare time? That'll be interesting to know.
Right. You see someone with a lot of athletic wear.
Yeah.
How could you offer services that cater to them more? Or maybe you're taking that data and sharing it with retailers, and you build some kind of partnership there, because now you can send them data to say, hey, this thing has been washed 32 times. We know after 36 washes, it's going to start to fall apart for whatever reason. So now they can start serving up promotions or ads to that person to say, hey, do you want to buy this new, workout shirt or whatever the case might be, because it's been washed X amount of times.
Yeah. Or, this guy or gal is a big Knicks fan.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe we could say to the Knicks or to the NBA and say, hey, you have a huge fan here. Right? In our community, what events do you have, and kind of like, they can figure out what kind of events they want to invite these customers to based on the data that we give them. Mm-hmm. and share. And that'll give our customers a better life experience, right? Not just a better washing experience, to say, you know what, yeah, let's get this person to know about this secret Knicks event that we're having, if they didn't know about it. Maybe they're too busy working, and, we'll host a raffle at the soapbox.
Right.
And if your client wins, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
All because they decided to do their laundry with you.
Yeah, like you give me all kind of ideas now, because I'm like, you mentioned the whole Knicks thing, and maybe it's not something in conjunction with the Knicks, but we see that this person is a big Knicks fan. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to customer appreciation or client appreciation, we're like, we know what this client likes.
Exactly.
These clients. So like you said, we'll have a raffle, or maybe just to say thank you because they've sent so much laundry, we're going to send them 2 complimentary tickets to go to a game. Or someone you see has like a lot of yoga mats and things like that, and then in their thing, oh, well, here's a gift card to go to X to enjoy yourself and take a free yoga class or whatever.
The collaboration with the yoga studio, right?
Totally.
They would love, and not to just to get a little bit more into what I do on a daily basis. I work for a commercial real estate lender. Mm-hmm. And so something came across my desk, and the cycling company that is leasing a space somewhere, they're like, oh, we only have X amount of bikes. Could we lower our expenses, whatever? So you understand that they have limited amount of spaces, but what happens when they start to lose clients? They can say, hey, you know what? I noticed that they have a lot of athletes doing laundry over there. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's do collab with them and say, hey, do you have anyone that wants to try cycling and maybe become new members? Things like that. So yeah, a lot of collaborations could happen.
Yeah, we could probably just pontificate all night about different ideas about how to collaborate with other businesses based on what we see. Not even like getting hardcore data, just from looking at people's laundry when they come to sort it. So, speaking of people's laundry, you're going to be unattended, so no one's going to be there. What's your thoughts on either drop-off service or pickup and delivery?
And that's another collaboration, right? Where there's a lot of people, entrepreneurs out there that are doing wash and fold but don't have a physical location, right? And partnering with them and allowing them to, utilize the space for that, and then having that revenue stream for themselves and for us, right? Where maybe they're just using 2 machines instead of all 9 or 10 machines being used at once. Mm-hmm. They're able to just come in and focus on 1 or 2 machines, and maybe under our umbrella or their own, whatever. But the service is still getting done. There's still money being made. So I think it could be a win-win.
Yeah, the partnership is key. The Laundromat is in its development stage, right? You're ripping out everything in the store. When we looked at it today, getting ready to do this new build out and everything. There's a lot of moving parts that are going to be going on for you. You got to order machines, do installs, work with contractors, et cetera, et cetera. What's your greatest fear with all this? That sigh, the exhale you just did, not to say we're going to focus on negative, because I think people focus on it too much, but I'm sure there's someone out there watching or listening who's in your shoes? Like they're just starting out, or they're about to buy a laundromat, or they've closed and they're like, now I got to renovate this store. What do you look at as your fear with this, and how you're going to overcome it?
For me, I think it's never about the problem. It's about the solution.
Okay.
You always ask yourself, what do I have to do and how am I going to do it? So being patient with yourself is very important as well, because you got to remember you're new to this, and until the moment you become true to it, there's just a lot to learn. And taking pen to paper, writing things out, thinking about them, reaching out to people. I think that's how we came. I saw your videos actually on a company's website, and I said, I know that guy's in Brooklyn. Just no other laundromat is gonna have a sneaker. To understand the sneaker culture, I knew you were from New York, so I said, I gotta find this guy. Reaching out to experts or other entrepreneurs and seeing what they're doing, getting on the YouTube University, looking into different platforms and reading up about it, and then taking your time and saying, you know what, I have to develop a team. In my instance, I'm gonna have to do a build out. So my best friend right now is the architect.
Awesome.
Right? How are we gonna design this efficiently? What am I gonna need? And being here in New York, our zoning and land use is very sophisticated. So it's very important to have that professional guide you through that, and taking the time to read up on things yourself. And then when it comes to the construction, so when I purchased a property, there was an initial renovation, right? And having to spend that money and realizing that there's a lot of ups and downs, and you learn a lot. I learned a lot from that experience. So it helps me to just be more prepared for this round.
Right.
So it doesn't scare me as much, but you understand what comes with it, right? So yeah, thinking about the sequence of things, and like I said, get in on the phone and say, hey, if I order the machines around this time, when should I expect them to come? Then I can say, okay, contractor, this is the timeline we're working with, and always give yourself a buffer.
100%.
Yeah. So, because things will happen and they do happen. So it's never to get down on yourself, but giving yourself enough space to correct the errors, stay even keel, and seeing yourself through the process. Because you have a dream, and we all do as entrepreneurs. And the thing about it is, like, it's just a matter of when, not if, but when.
When.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Not if, but when.
Yeah.
We stay focused on it. And when I hear you talk about when I ask you the greatest fear, or what, you mentioned these problems. And when I hear you speak, first of all, it's like this whole calm, like you're super calm. Like even when I'm like, what's your fear? Like what's like the store is gonna like have a dryer fire, and you're like, it's just a problem. I'm just gonna identify the problems one by one, put them in order, and just execute on each one until I check them all off the list.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we probably, want to share with listeners, with viewers who are in a similar situation. Maybe their store is open and they're having a tough time. They're not getting enough people through the door, or they're having an issue with, a distributor, or with a manufacturer, with their machines, whatever it might be. It's line up the problems, identify them, and just tackle them one by one, and just keep making progress.
Yeah. Because the resources are out there. It's just a matter of finding it. Right. And I think when I started thinking about the laundromat, I broke it down, and I said, you know what, maybe I don't have to go to the architect right away, but I want some kind of understanding of what's going to go in this space. So I reached out on Fiverr and got someone to kind of give me a really good rendering for a very reasonable price. Right. And just saying, all right, that was step one.
Right.
And while these renderings are to size, it's the architect within my locality that's going to help me to refine this.
Right.
And when it comes to problems like the fire in the dryer, right? All right, how do I get this place to, if I don't want to be here every day because I still have a day job and I still have another business, how do I get this place to not burn down? So I thought about either hiring a cleaning company once a week, maybe the middle of the week, or maybe 2 times a week, and just for 30 minutes, check the dryers. Because it's not going to be 50 dryers like at a 3,000 square foot store, but something small, or even the person that I'll be partnering with to do the wash and fold, they could, this is part of the agreement. You clean the dryers and the washers while you're there. And, that's a solution. If you focus on the problem too much, you may not get anywhere. You get some kind of analysis paralysis, but continue to move along and just adjust. I think that's one of our greatest strengths as entrepreneurs. We're adaptable, adjustable, and we get it done.
Right. I was talking to, you're probably familiar with Jordan Berry, Laundromat Resource. Yeah. We were doing a podcast, I don't know, probably like 2 years ago when I was on this podcast. And one of the things we talked about, and like we had gotten this whole rant when we were talking, is we so focus on what could go wrong. But how about we start focusing on what could go right? Like there's a bigger chance of things going right than there is going wrong. And if we focus on the positive and amplify it, we'll probably have a way better outcome.
Yeah. So many people talk about manifestation. That's part of what entrepreneurs do on a daily basis, right? When you think positive, like, I'm going to get this done and it's going to happen. And so, yeah, just think ahead and get over the hump, because, I feel as if every time we get into a new business, it's definitely part of our livelihood, and it's a part of our identity a little bit as well.
Right.
So, don't destroy yourself, uplift yourself. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. And I saw you on Jordan's podcast as well. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
I was stalking you.
It paid off.
I finally got you here.
Right, it paid off.
Yeah.
Like in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you say that, because I think we were at the store, and when you lift up the gate, people were walking by and looking, and you and I standing there. And when I look through the glass, I see one thing, you see something. And I'm willing to bet when people were walking by, they just saw the old fish and chip sign. They just see like, oh, there's some debris inside, there's some work going on. But when you look at it, and when I look at it, even though it's in the state, what do you see when you look through that window?
I look at a place that's going to be welcoming. I look at a place that's going to be transformative. I see a place that people are going to want to come in and wash their clothes at, and it is an eye catcher. We're right outside the bus stop. We're in a quarter-mile radius. It's 168 apartment units, and I'm kind of like, yeah, this is going to be one of those hole in the walls that people are going to come and say, hey, I've been going there for 20 years, right? I really believe that. And so, yeah, every time I open the gate, I'm like, at first I was a little embarrassed, because it's a mess, right? It is a debris. We started demoing the place, and I'm like, you'll see. I got something for you. So I can't wait.
Yeah. I asked that because when you talk about entrepreneurs, and you talk about manifestation, we see things beyond what they are. Yeah. So when the first time I met you, then you lifted up the gate, I saw the fish and chip sign or the seafood sign, whatever it was. The first thing in my mind, I started picturing there's washers here, there's dryers here. I'm like, somebody could be sitting over here or somebody standing over here folding clothes. Like what it will be, and then what it will be after that. So it's not the present, it's the near future, and then the distant future. I believe that entrepreneurs see it in that way. It's the vision. It's this thing. I read it, and forgive me, I can't remember where I saw it, where I read it, but it's this term they use called backcasting, where we live in the future. We see what it is, we believe it, we know it, and then we project that back to the present to get other people to say, hey, this is the vision, this is what it's going to turn into. So we're constantly backcasting because we live in we're operating in the present, but we also live in the future because we see where this thing can go.
Yeah, and I think that's a skill set that people don't really identify as a skill set. Vision. You need to have it. Steve Jobs talks about, make sure you have the vision, and then you have either yourself or someone else who's going to hold on to that vision.
Right.
because that's the destination we have to get to. And it's not in the present. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not in the near future. It's, like I said, 20 years down the road. Like, what is that legacy? It's part of the vision.
Okay. So today, one store. What's your vision after this laundromat?
After this laundromat, it's going to be a few. I definitely want to have a chain. I want to have a chain of laundromats that deliver. I really want to revolutionize the business. Mm-hmm. And I think, one day at a time. And I think I'm so excited about this first one. One, because I don't have to pay anybody rent, but two,
you gotta pay yourself for it.
Yeah. Anybody else, I don't have to pay anybody else rent.
Okay.
But two, I'm going to be able to make a lot of mistakes to figure out what I want this to be in 20 years, right? And like I said, we're gonna go through the iterations of the collaborations, figure out which ones work and which ones don't, and really come to a new dawn in the laundry business.
Right. See, you've mentioned make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Most people want to avoid making mistakes. They're scared of them. They avoid them like a pothole in the street and you got a brand new car. Mm. Why do you want to make more mistakes?
I think it's the fastest way to learn. Mm-hmm. Mistakes are really correlated with fear, and everything you want is on the other side of fear, right? And it's how you take it. It's like, I'm not saying to burn the whole thing down, but be wise enough to have the discernment to learn from your mistakes and improve upon them. Mm. Then you can't make them again.
Right.
Fool me once, fool me twice, and it's not going to happen.
Right. So, as we start to wrap this up, and as I mentioned earlier, there's tons of people out there who are following your path, whether, we'll just make this up. You're on chapter 5, they might be on chapter 3, or they're on chapter 8. We're all on different time points on this timeline in the laundry industry. What would you impart, or what would you share with someone who's on this beginning journey? They're looking for a store, they're working on their store, and they're down. I get emails, I get DMs of people asking I'm having this kind of trouble with my store. I'm trying to acquire new clients. A new competitor just opened up around the corner from me. I lost someone's laundry. We raised our prices and I lost 50% of my customers. What would you share with them from where you've been so far in this journey, whether it's in laundry or in real estate or just in life, to help them get to the next point, to get past the next hurdle?
There's several things, because I've been to at some points where, I thought I was losing everything. And, keeping your faith is also important, believing in what you believe in, be a good person, do the work, don't be afraid of it, and utilize your resources. Reach out to the person that you think is hard to reach out to. And it may be your luck that they respond and say, hey, keep your head up. Because sometimes that's all you need, right? Or they may have the solution. I remember I was searching for the right insurance carrier. It took me 2 years to find the right guy.
Wow.
Right? Got to a point where the premium was like $8,600. I'm like, this is scary. What is it going to be the next time? And I just reached out one more time to a buddy and saved me a chunk of change, right? So just continue to reach out, believe in your vision, be willing to adjust, right? Your market is going to tell you what it needs. And so listening is a big component of success. And also, people are going to watch this like, he's so young, what does he know about success? But I'm actually 34 years old, guys. So
you just look like you're 18.
Yeah. They say black don't crack, so that's it. But yeah, just continue to listen to the environment and the marketplace, and push yourself forward to get to where you want to go. Lock into that vision.
That's right. So, from the time we first started interacting, as I said earlier, you have this like aura and energy about you. Like, you're calm. You're like, I get the impression you're like, no matter what goes wrong, like the building's on fire, you're like, don't worry.
I can call the fire department.
Dial 911.
Yeah.
Get some water. You'll find a way. So I am going on record to say I am 100% confident in what you're building, how you're going to do it. Will there be some mistakes? Of course. Will you have some stumbles, some roadblocks? But from our conversation today and our past conversations, I am, one, thoroughly impressed. But let me be absolutely clear. And I believe you're on the right path. And the mindset you have is going to put you in a different space than those laundromats that are competitors near you that we were talking about earlier. And we touched on it earlier. There's a lot of opportunity in our industry right now.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with technology or just people being very comfortable and complacent. I was down in Maryland, working with a partner at a store there. And the store is on a main strip, and it's like one of those like highways, and it's like 3 lanes on each side. So it's major, a lot of traffic going. There's probably 8 laundromats. Let me back up. 6 laundromats within, 15 minutes of the store that we're working on.
Yeah.
I drive up the road. I get there, I get on the 5 o'clock in the morning train to go to Maryland. I get there like 8 something. I get an Uber, go to Enterprise, rent a car, and I start driving the laundromats. Every one I went into, they were either par or subpar. Yeah. Ceiling tiles stained from like leaks in the roof. The attendant had her headphones on and was just walking around talking, and she's like, "You need help?" And I'm not in there just scoping out stuff. I went to the dollar store, brought a bunch of towels, and did laundry in each one of them. Like, I got all the laundry cards sitting in my house from visiting all the stores, because 3 of them were cards, and I think the other 2 were like coins and cards. And it's just like, my wife texts me, and she asks this question all the time. It drives me crazy. What's your biggest takeaway, right? So she's like, what was your biggest takeaway from this trip? I was like, that so many of the stores were just par or subpar. There was nothing in when I walked in that was like, wow, like, they're really, like, they're killing it here. Cracked glass. Some of them, the stores were clean, but it was just like you said earlier, you walk in, like, you smell the stores, like, you get you think about the holidays. And during the Christmas time, you go into these apartment stores, and they have the perfume and fragrances going. It makes you feel a certain way. You said it earlier. And I was like, there's a lot of opportunity. Because people are just like, I'm good, just average. If we just do a little above average, people will be like blown away. So
You said it. You said it. And that's something we talked about off camera, was we have to rethink how we do business. And so that's it right there.
Yeah. So I think that leaves us on a good note to close everything out. I'm going to go on the record that once you're done, we have to schedule part 2, because I want to see the store. I will be communicating as you're going through the process, but I'd love to share from where we started. We went to the store today, people got a look at it, and then what the finished product is going to be, and then how you've used technology and automation to embrace an unattended store so the community loves it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that day. I'm excited just thinking about it. So I can't wait to bring you guys back out and show you, part 2.
We'll look forward to it.
All right.
Anthony, I look forward to more conversations.
Same. Thank you, Waleed.
Thanks so much.